G'day there guys, it's your Aussie Hubby Markee, back at it again with another r/DatingHell video. Now, if you love me as much as I love you, you'd mosey on over to that old like button and tackle it like Steve Irwin would a crocodile. Maybe even chuck an Aussie flag down in the comments. Please and thank you. Now, with that out of the way, I want you to sit back, relax, chuck a prawn on the barbie, and get ready for some good content. Found out post first date, he would tell girls he loved them within a week to try and impregnate them and spread his sperm. Found out he was wanted in Florida for evading child support. Not sure if this is true to this day. Online dating story, but a weird one. I met a guy named Robert Christian. It's definitely not even his real name, so it's okay. We had talked for 4 hours on the phone before meeting. We just clicked and it was weird. It felt too good to be true. This guy thought so similarly to me and was into all the same things I loved. We went on a fairly normal date in Laguna Beach. Dinner, beach walk, etc. He did get a little pushy towards the end with being kissy and handsy, but I didn't find it abnormal for a horny guy that I met online. I was debating a second date with him and definitely would have gone on one. If not less than a week later, he shows up at my university and we're walking across the park. Kinda cute, but I was also a little weirded out that he just showed up out of the blue, seeing as we only had one date. So he's skateboarding through the park. I remember thinking how his longboard was going to catch on the uneven asphalt. Isn't it funny how weird moments are such vivid memories? And he proceeded to tell me he was in love with me. I started laughing even though it was awkward even as a joke, and then slowly freaked out and got so red as I realized he wasn't kidding. I had to get out of there ASAP. I had such a pit in my stomach and somehow just felt so wrong and creeped out that I was getting roped into something. He kept telling me how he's never felt like this before. He loved me so much, how beautiful I was, etc. To so many comments. For some reason at the time, I just felt like it was more than just a delusional guy moving way too fast. Because I felt this weird scared was, I still kinda played along with it, worried that if he somehow didn't like my answer, he could hurt me. I don't know, so many thoughts in my mind. So I still gave him some affection and told him this was all happening way too fast and I needed some time to think this through. I made a hurried excuse to get to class and sped off. After class, I had tons of missed calls from him and still had this pitting feeling that I couldn't make him mad. I stupidly let him pick me up from my house on our first date. I know, an online dating no-no, but I had so many average dates with normal dudes at this point that I got careless. I picked up and he went on and on about the same things from earlier. Basically just trying to get me to tell him and validate all the things he was saying earlier. I still kinda laughed it off and told him that I needed some time. We had gone on one date. He did not get it. He wouldn't stop calling, so I finally just blocked him. Was just gonna take my chances if he showed up at my house. I never saw him again. Fast forward 6 months later, I get a text out of the blue from an iCloud email. iMessage on a Mac? Asking if I knew a guy named Robert Christian. I was not forgetting that name anytime soon. Who was this? I asked before answering. She proceeded to tell me her name and that her friend's dad was a cop and they needed to know if I knew this guy. They supposedly had accessed my number from his call logs the police pulled. This sounded so fishy. Without me offering any information other than confirmation that I knew someone by that name, they texted me to send any pictures of texts between me and him and photos we had exchanged. They told me he was wanted in Florida for evading child support, and he would tell girls he loved them and try to impregnate them and spread his seed. A lot of things matched up to things he told me. It was weird. It was either him pranking me, a dedicated 6-month prank, or they were telling some truth. I told them if they needed anything from me, that a cop or some authoritative figure needed to contact me directly. No way a text from a MacBook was legitimate. Needless to say, I didn't hear from them again. Not even kidding, 6 months later, I get another text from another iCloud account, asking me if I knew Robert Christian. Oh my god, not again, are you serious? I demanded to know who it was. I was done with this. WTF? I told her as much, and she proceeded to tell me he was sending her son inappropriate photos and she needed to get in contact with him. This weirded me out. How did she get my number? I was convinced this was a year-long dedicated prank. What the actual hell? Haven't had a weird text since, other than creepy Craigslist spammers. This was 2013 or so. When relayed to my friends over the years, the moral was they told me to never trust a man with 2 first names. Oh my god, I never realized that. Yeah, the whole thing is suspect, especially the messages. If police were ever involved, they would have tried other ways contacting you, since they can practically look up your ID with your number alone. Yeah, exactly. That was the weird part. Everything pointed to prank or psycho exes, but like, too far, right? TLDR, guys shows up in a dress and heels on a date. Not my story, but my mother's. My mom had been dating this guy. He had 3 kids, and he seemed pretty chill. One night, he asked my mum if they could go on a date, and that he was bringing his friend. He said it was 100% fine if my little sister and I come as well. Ew, we were waiting for them to show up. I was just looking on my phone, and my sister was messing around. Eventually he arrived. He was wearing bright red heels and a flower dress. My mother wasn't exactly the happiest, as he did not tell her he was going to show up in a dress. Dinner was awkward, and my mother was very unhappy that night. When we got home, I asked why she was so upset. It was mainly because she was not informed that he was showing up in a dress. To be fair, no one on my mother's side of the family are against cross-dresses. She was just shocked and upset, and I was just sitting there watching the whole thing go down. We laugh about the situation now though, so it all ended well. My mother doesn't talk with the guy anymore. TLDR, Awkward Kid and I's love story. So there was this kid who was always following me around since the beginning of high school. I never saw him more as a friend, and believe me, he wasn't exactly a catch. He had a temper and often said really bad things. However, he was in love with me. There was almost nothing I could do. I had an excuse every time he would ask me out, I wasn't old enough, I had a boyfriend, and etc. Until I didn't have an excuse when he asked me to come with him to our school's play. I bit my tongue and accepted the request. I went with him, and he did that stretch arm move to put his arm around me. I felt this sinking feeling in my stomach the whole night. But the play did have some of the hottest guys in our school with their shirts off, so that was a win. The next day, this kid asks me to be his girlfriend. I said no because I had just gotten dumped a few weeks prior and was still getting over that last relationship. He seemed to understand and quickly got a girlfriend after that. Surprise, surprise, it didn't last. The summer went by and we kind of talked. Like, he was always trying to hang out, but my schedule got busy as I got a job with some people from my high school. I was helping the shop open up and get customers. I ended up spending the rest of my summer training and working. I would occasionally see him in the hallways, but never actually hung out with him. Then homecoming came around. No one had asked me to homecoming, and I was really sad. I assumed it was because of my ex-boyfriend, whose goal in life was to make me miserable. My friends were talking about how I hadn't been asked, and they really wished someone would ask me. Guess who was sitting with them? You guessed it, Smitten Boy! Since he was on their dance team, he asked them for my address, as he would be the eligible bachelor. They gave it to him and told me about the conversation, and I had mixed feelings. I did want to get asked to homecoming, but he didn't give me a good vibe at all. A few days later, he asked me officially. I said yes because I thought it would just be his friends. Boy, was I wrong. The night before homecoming, I go to the football game to watch my friends perform. While I'm about to talk to them, he comes up to me and kisses me. Now, to clarify, he did ask if he could. However, I was loopy and couldn't hear him. I thought he said, "Will you wish me luck?" So it caught me by surprise. They had to perform afterward, and I ran into an empty part of the school and cried. I have always been taught to keep kisses special and not to give them around. I felt like I led him on, which was the last thing I wanted. I was able to watch my friends perform and cheered them on. He caught up to me and asked if I wanted to grab some food. I agreed. I know I never learned my lesson, and I went with him. He asked me that question again. I said that I would have to think about it. Our date wasn't that awkward as I thought it would be. It was actually pretty nice. I had a lot of fun and then went home. I'm not like most girls, so I took a 2-hour nap before I got ready. I know how to do my own makeup really well, and hair doesn't really take that long. His mum drops him off at our house and takes pictures of us, saying we were the perfect couple. I then go and pick up the other members of our group, my bestie of 7 years and her date, and we're off to dinner. It was actually pretty good, and there weren't a lot of couples there. The manager came over and gave us a free dessert. That was really awesome. We go to homecoming and it is loud. I have sensory processing disorder, so that makes loud noises really difficult for me. What really got on my nerves was that Smitten Boy went over to my ex-boyfriend and practically showed me off to him. I felt terribly uncomfortable. I just wanted to sink into the floor and just disappear. I finally was able to drop him off and, surprise, he kissed me again. I pulled away and said, "Okay, good night," and I drove home. I honestly wanted to throw up. On that Monday, I talked with him about us. I said I really wasn't in the mental place to have a boyfriend. I apologized for leading him on, and he seemed to understand. I thought the whole fiasco was over, and I once again was wrong. A week later, I'm texting one of my coworkers. He's my boss's stepson, and we've known each other for quite a while. We start talking about school dances, and that's when he reveals some shocking information. "So, are you and Smitten Boy dating now?" No, why?" "Oh, I thought you were since he told me that you guys made out 3 times, lol." "Wait, what?" "Yeah, he said you guys snuck off at the football game and made out, and then twice at homecoming. So, did you?" To say that I was shocked would be an understatement. Oh my gosh, that's totally not true. He kissed me for 2 seconds and I didn't have any time to react. Yes, I could feel my whole body boiling. I stopped texting my coworker and text in the most passive-aggressive way possible. "So I heard from someone that you said we made out. Want to tell me about that? I really would be honest, for your sake." And he broke down. He was saying that the reason he lied about that was that he wanted to seem popular because he made out with me and I agreed to it. I was furious. "So you exploited me so you could be cool." "Yes, I know I'm such a bad person. I understand if you don't want to be my friend anymore." "Okay, what you can do is go tell everyone you told the truth. I am not going to put up with this." The next couple of texts were basically, "woe is me" and that kind of stuff. He sort of did what I asked him to, but would keep telling people about it. He then asked me out again to make up for what he did. I told him that he lost that privilege and that I'm not interested in him. He supposedly moved on, but my friends would catch him staring at me with puppy dog eyes. There are a lot more stories I could say, but I'm just gonna end it here. Anyways, I know that I led him on and I still feel really guilty about that. But then again, he did tell a huge lie about me to I don't know how many people. There's my date from hell story. Hope you liked it and cringed with me. Little breather. TLDR, stop entertaining confused men. I can't take it anymore doing 80% of the work whilst the guy I try to date do 20%. Hear this. Backstory. I, 28 female, match with this guy 28 on Hinge. He messages first, he's flirty. Does take ages to reply, at times days, but not too bothered as it's the very beginning. He arranges the first date. He postpones first date because of a sudden work trip. He reschedules. Day of our date, he gets locked out of his house. Date postponed. Next day, he messages to rearrange and wants to see me that evening, possibly even at his place. I say no. We arrange a proper date. We meet, lots of sparks. We keep texting every day after that. He replies within minutes. Second date, he cancels the plan the day before, asking to meet at his place, to which I reply a sound no. I don't know you enough, and if you're looking for someone to sleep with, it's not me. He gets back at me saying that's not what he's looking for at all. He genuinely wants to chill. So we stop talking for a few days, then we start again. Although he's not as fast with replies anymore. We arrange a date. All good, sparks and all. We go home, he sends a lovely message and we arrange a third date. We keep texting every day, normal patterns of reply. Then one Thursday he just stops replying. After 2 days I send another message. Crickets. I wait another day or two and then I tell him, not assuming anything, but I hope you are okay since I haven't heard in ages, and if you had a change of heart, do let me know, it's okay. People's feelings change. He replies with a massive rant saying how busy he was. He went for a weekend away with friends, and he most definitely hadn't changed his mind. He apologizes profusely, saying on top of that he's unwell and maybe had the famous virus, so we'll have to isolate now, and asks loads of questions about me. I reply the next day, Tuesday, and I ask how he is. I hear nothing back. Messages not even open. Friday morning, I send him a thanks no thanks message. I say the lack of communication doesn't work for me, and that I hope he's feeling better. He finally reads all the messages and doesn't even reply. Now that you read this far, firstly, thank you. But what do you think? His actions and words definitely didn't match up. I can understand not replying for a day or two, but 3 at a time? He's also glued to the phone, out even during dates. I don't understand why he couldn't say when I messaged him earlier in the week, sorry, busy time for me, or yes, changed my mind, rather than no, I really like you. Anyways, my thoughts are he wanted someone to sleep with and I was making it difficult. Or maybe he got offended that I jumped at those conclusions. Anyways, my moral for this story is that I need to stop entertaining confused men. He is not confused. He probably has a girlfriend or a serious love interest, but he enjoys the attention he got from you, and as you suspect, he is just trying to bang as well. Let him loose. Good on you for not falling for the whole, oh I'm sorry, I had to cancel, but let's just chill at mine. I am just exhausted from work and partying too much with my buddies. It is a tried, tested, and true ploy by players. Also, if he was away with buddies for a week, but despite your frequent communications he could not mention his upcoming trip? BS. Next. And our next story. Strange encounter with an ex whose name I could not even remember. I am not sure if this is the right place for this, but I wanted to tell someone just because I think it's a funny story. So at the ripe old age of 35, I decided to get my crap together and go back to college. My campus offers over 40 different programs, from a diverse range of fields. A few weeks ago, there was this job fair there, and I decided to check it out. As my program is 2 years and I am in the first year, I wasn't planning on getting hired, but it is still good to get to know people. So I'm walking around, and I see one booth from a company in a completely different field. I'm in technologies, this booth was more of a social services company. I noticed one woman who was giving me a rather angry look. I just thought, geez, what crawled up her ass and died? And I carried on. Incidentally, I winded up walking past this booth again, this time with a female classmate. Again, the woman at the booth had this look of anger on her face looking at me. I said to my classmate, what's her problem? My classmate looked over and said, I don't know, ticked off at being old and fat or something? I busted a gut laughing and carried on. As I was almost done the long walk back to my classroom, I realized who it was. It was an ex of mine from over 10 years ago. It took me more time to remember even her name. She broke up with me because I wasn't any good with her daughter, she said. I was trying to learn, but I am an only child and didn't have many friends growing up, so it was going to take some time. That was unacceptable to her and she ended it. She is also 6 or 7 years older than me, and to be frank, time has not been very kind to her. I am sure she was thrilled to see an unwelcome blast from the past there. Lol. Alright guys, that is the end of today's episode. Tell me what you thought of r/DatingHell. I know some of you love it, and I think there's some very relatable stories. I always have a laugh when I read these ones. Anyway guys, I hope you have a good day, night, sleep, whatever you're up to, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye!